Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode 301. My name is Jason Robertson. I'm the owner of Outdoor Legacy and one of your co-hosts here on the podcast. And as always, I got my co-host, Hans. What is going on tonight, sir?
We've got a big review this week, Jason. One of the most, talked about scopes coming out of SHOT Show 2024 is the brand new AGM Rattler version 2. Today, we're going to be reviewing the two brand new 384 resolution models. That is the TS25-384 and the TS35-384. But it is it's good to get past our 300th episode to celebrate. Not really to celebrate the show, but to celebrate my daughter's youngest birthday. We went camping this past weekend, so we just got back from that not too long ago, and it was miserable and perfect and awesome all at the same time. So I mean, it was
that's a lot at once.
We were in a $25 Walmart tent that's about 10 years old, and it just decided to flash flood the first night. And I told Jason before the show started, I said, I felt like I got waterboarded like all night long because I had just water splashing on my face all night. It was cold. And then ended up being perfect, man. After that, everything dried out and got to go. We were in Dinosaur Valley, so actually got to see some dinosaurs, some actual, 115 million year old dinosaur tracks there in Glen Rose, Texas. But anyway, people don't want to hear about that. But we got a good review. I am excited. And we always say that. I am very much anticipating this review. How about that? We're going to change our words for 2024. Our what do we call them? Our crutch words. Right. But we're anxiously anticipating this review of the Rattler V2s. And I know we've got a lot to get through, Jason.
So guys, I've already, since I was holding this up, I've already pulled off one sticker after I held it up. There's a sticker on the side of this thing. There's another sticker over here I need to pull off. That's something when you buy one, you may want to do yourself, pull those stickers off. All right, guys, there is so much to get into. We're going to jump into this. There's something we're doing today that I hate doing, and it's recording a review and reviewing two optics at one time. I despise it. I hate everything about it.
He does. It's
terrible for everything about it. But there's one reason we have to do it, because right now we have so many scopes to review, so much stuff piled up that each one of these scopes honestly deserves its own review, but we don't have a choice. If we reviewed one now, we wouldn't review the other one for 4 or 5 months, and that's not fair to the scope. So.
And thanks to Scott and Trent over at AGM, they got these units to us well before SHOT Show. We've had these things for a long time. I've been hunting with them. We've been getting them out. You and Ashley have had these out a bunch. I mean, we have a lot of video for y'all to see during this review. So make sure if you're not listening or if you're not watching on YouTube, if you're listening only, go check out if you want to see what the video footage looks like. But I'll tell you that before we jump into the review. If you're looking to purchase a brand new night vision or thermal optic and you want to do that through Outdoor Legacy, we would love your business. And I know that there's a lot of confusing things out there, especially since SHOT Show. Let me tell you, a guy called and said, man, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. There's so much going on. I said, man, we just got back from SHOT Show and I've got about 20 new scopes that I'm trying to memorize the specs. I've used a lot of them, but I haven't memorized all the specs. So I'm trying to do that. So yes, it's confusing for everybody, but give us a call. We can help sort it all out. 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacygear.com. Call us. You can talk to us. And especially if you're interested in purchasing a new optic from Outdoor Legacy. Again, we'd love your business.
Amen. That sounds great, guys. That's what keeps this show going. As much as we love doing this, and we do it to make a living. So we would love to have your business. Now, speaking of that, these are the Rattler V2 384s, AGM Rattler V2 384s. These optics, when this is coming out, I don't know if they're going to be sitting on the shelf or not. We already had a very large shipment of these that were available the week of SHOT Show. We sold completely out. We thought that it was a month's supply, and it was about 4 days supply. So they went very, very fast. We're supposed to be having more come in the week that this releases, if not within a day or two after. So if you go to our website, you don't see them, Outdoor Legacy Gear, Gear, gear.com. You don't see them there, not in stock. Guys, give us a call. We're going to have them very, very quickly. If you're watching this down the road a few weeks, months, or a year, we probably got them. All right. So
and the last thing too,
delays.
Yeah, and if you see that it's out on the website, outdoorlegacygear.com, and you want to buy it, call us, because sometimes you never know. Like, hey, either it might be in the warehouse waiting to be checked in, or
happens all the time.
Or the girls will say, hey, it'll be here tomorrow. So don't just, oh, it's out of stock, I got to go. They're not going to have it forever. No, call us if you want to buy it and it's out of stock on the website. You might be surprised.
Our warehouse gets deliveries from thermal optic and night vision companies 5 days a week. Sometimes the same company multiple times in a week. I actually got a text message tonight from Scott over at AGM. He said, I'm looking at your order. I have a question. Can your warehouse receive pallets? And I said, absolutely. We have a dock at the warehouse. And he goes, okay, you're going to need a pallet. So it's going to be more than one. So that's how many of these things we got coming in, guys. So, all right, let's jump into this. So this is confusing. So I'm going to try to lay this out before we get into the discussion. Let's talk about the difference in a general term and the difference in the Rattler V1 from AGM. We're calling it the V1 now. Before it wasn't the V1. Now it's the version 1. And then these V2s, version 2. In general terms, we're talking about the 384 units, okay? They went from a 17 micron down to a 12 micron in the V2. They went from a 35 or sub 35 millikelvin rating for the NETD rating down to a sub 20. All right, you don't know what that means. It just means the sensitivity is better, would perform better in wet, humid, cold, snowy, nasty conditions. It's going to perform better with that lower NETD rating. The battery went from a CR123As it went to in the V2 a removable rechargeable battery pack system that is awesome. We'll get into that. And then the cold temperature rating went from a -4. The V2s are a -22. The magnifications went up. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. And the Rattler V1s did not have audio along with the video. The new V2s have audio and video. So there's your basic things that have changed. And I think something that, Hans and I are going to talk about here kind of in our, overall thoughts a little bit is it worth the upgrade? If you got a V1, do you need to run out and sell it and go buy the V2? We will talk about that. I also want to say that right now, the V1s are still on the market. They're still for sale. We are actually still selling them as fast as we can get them in because they're still very popular. They are fantastic. They're tried. They're true. They've been around several years. And we've got guys that are looking at the V1, looking at the V2, and they go, you know what? I just want the V1. I know what it'll do. I've already got one, or my buddy's got one. I want these CR123A batteries or certain, whatever certain things they want, and they're going for it. So I don't want everybody to look at this and say, well, the V1's junk. It's really not, and it is still available, and the pricing there is still really good on those. So let's talk about the pricing real quick. Again, a little confusing. So the Rattler version 1 384 25 millimeter is a 1.5 power, and it is $18.95. These are new lower prices, okay? $18.95. The Rattler 35 version 1 is a 2.2 power, and it's $2,095. All right. Now, this is where it gets confusing. So the 25 V1 is a 1.5 power. The 25 V2 is a 2 power, and it's $2,095. The 35 millimeter V2 is a 3 power, and it's $2,495. So people are getting confused between 25 and 35. So what you've got is a magnification shift up in the V2s. So again, let's just remember this. In the V1s, we have a 1.5 power and a 2.2. In the V2s, we have a 2 power and a 3 power. So again, and sometimes you just got
the version 2. Yeah, the 25 is a 2.2 power, and the 35 is a 3 power.
Correct. So you kind of got to look at if you go to our website and you search Rattler, you'll see all these models, and maybe even take a piece of paper and write it down, and it starts making more sense of what's going on there. But what it ends up being is, again, so the Rattler V2 25mm 2-power is $2,095, and the Rattler 35 V2, which is a 3-power, is $2,495. One more thing I'm going to say before I get into the specs on these. If you're familiar at all with the AGM adders, the adders are the 30mm, scopes that look like a daytime scope. Very, very popular. What they've done is they've essentially moved the Rattler V2 to match the specs of that scope. So that's what it is. It's an upgrade. So if there is any questions like, hey, I've got an adder, or I've seen an adder, or I've heard about it, the adder and the Rattler V2 are essentially the same scopes in different housings. So now you just kind of know what you've got there if you're trying to compare those side by side. So jumping into the specs, and again, most all of these things are going to be the same as we go down them, from the 25 and the 35, and I'll note where there's differences. They are both a 384 by a 288 12-micron thermal sensor. Again, they are both sub 20 millikelvin NETD rating. 50 hertz refresh rate. Obviously, we have a 25mm and a 35mm. The 25mm, again, is a 2-power base mag with a 55-foot horizontal field of view, left to right, at 100 yards. The 35 is a 3-power with a 39-foot horizontal field of view from left to right. So you're losing field of view, but you've gone up in magnification. That's normal. They have digital zoom. It's 1, 2, 4, and 8 times digital zoom. The detection range of a 6-foot object, so essentially like a 6-foot man or a hot object standing up or upright, would be about 1,200 yards on the 25 and about 1,800 yards on the 35. People say, well, why would the 35 do better? Is because of the lens. It's because of the magnification. You just have higher magnification so you can see further. The display on both is an OLED 1024 by 768. Again, that's the display. The thermal sensor is a 384 by 288. They have the same color palettes. They've always had black hot, white hot, red hot, and fusion. They have something new. They have a scene mode, and it's called cold and warm. And it's just something for personal preference, kind of like a color palette. It kind of changes the display from a blue look when it's in the cold, and then kind of more of a black and white or almost a little bit of a sepia color when it's in warm. So it's just, again, doesn't change anything. It's just how you like it for your eye. Both have video and audio recording. Again, audio is new in the Rattler V2. They have a standby mode. They both have picture-in-picture. They do have Wi-Fi streaming to the smartphone app, the AGM smartphone app. They have 10 reticles, so that's an upgrade from the old Rattler. So 10 reticles with 4 different colors, and you can turn the reticles off or on if you just want to use it like a handheld and want to do some recording and don't want the reticle in your way. They now have what they call shot-activated recoil, recording, shot-activated recording. Some people call that recoil-activated recording. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I don't like recoil-activated recording, and here's why. Because it works most of the time, but that one time when you've got this amazing shot that you want to show all your buddies and you're relying on that shot activated video, I've just seen too many times where it doesn't work. And so we have every scope that has this. I just dread it because I know there's going to be some guy call and he's going to be, you're just not going to believe this amazing shot at, a mile. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Press the record button when you want to record. And that's not a slam on AGM. I've never seen a manufacturer that had one of these that worked 100% of the time, every single time. So again, if you're bad about forgetting to press the power button, hey, leave this on. It's going to work most of the time, but just giving my caveat right there. Battery type. This is cool, guys. Hans is fixing to show you this in the walk around. This is a big change, moving away from the CR123A batteries. Now, a lot of guys like that, guys that like the idea of something they can buy off the shelf, especially guys that are, maybe preppers or into, survival type stuff. They want a battery that they can literally buy in bulk, lithium, set to the side, don't ever have to worry about it. I mean, I get that. Some people just have an aversion to a proprietary battery. Other guys look at this, and this is like myself, I say, I want this proprietary battery if it's good and it gives me long battery life. And here's what's awesome. We're getting over 9 hours of runtime. That's just a bench test, okay? That's just literally taking this unit, charging it up, setting it here on the desk, and letting it run completely down. I got over 9 hours of runtime on a single battery, and AGM is including 2 of these batteries with the scope. So we're talking about runtime out of the box, 18 hours plus. I mean, I got really closer to 9.5 hours. So realistically in the field, I think you could be looking at 8 to 8.5, maybe even 9 hours in the field. Getting cold weather, clearly that's going to come down some, but still it's very long battery life. Eventually, the batteries will be available for you to purchase more if you need to. I don't think you're going to need to, but if you want to, those are not available yet. We don't have firm pricing on those. I expect them to be, I don't know, $100, $125 somewhere. They're pretty affordable for what they are as long as they last. But you are getting 2. You're also getting a cradle charger with that. The operating temperature, as I mentioned, is down to -22 now. The waterproof rating is an IPS 6.7. That's fully dust-proof, fully waterproof, submersible to 3 foot for 30 minutes. Something that a lot of people will ask is, are they ambidextrous? What if I'm left-handed? What if I'm right-handed? What if I have gloves on? I don't know if you can see this well. There's no reason that a lefty can't use this just as easily as a righty. And yes, these buttons are some of the most raised buttons that I think we've seen on a scope. I think if you can't use these with gloves, you probably won't be able to use any other scope. I'm very impressed with how high they put these and kind of separated them out. Weight without a mount and a battery is about 1 pound. And then 5-year warranty. So that is something that AGM prides themselves on, is their 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty on the scope itself. And last but not least, as you can see right here, it includes our favorite, an American Defense Manufacturing quick detach mount right here. You can see this throw lever, and that is a return to zero mount. And that is, if you were to buy this mount for another scope, that's a couple $100 mount. And it is free, included with every one of these optics, lifetime warranty from American Defense Mount on the hardware and manufacturing of that. Again, return to zero. Fantastic optics. One last time, I'm just going to say it for those in the back. The 25mm 2 power is $2,095. The 3 power 35mm is $2,495. So $2,100, $2,500. Getting a whole bunch of stuff for that, guys. This is a fantastic scope. Hans, show them the walk around.
Yeah, here we go. So we got the plastic AGM lens cap cover right here, or the objective lens cover, spring loaded. Push the button, easy, pops out. Focusable, both of them are focusable objective lens. So you got a turn dial right here in the front by the objective lens. You got your eyepiece diopter focus with a rubber eyepiece right here, where it makes it a little bit more comfortable when you're lining it for the shot. Jason's already mentioned the throw lever on the American Defense Manufacturing mount. We've got our battery compartment now. The biggest upgrade, I would say, is the rechargeable batteries. You got your button in here that releases the battery. And then one of my favorite upgrades of the Rattler version 2s is the button layout. Way more friendly when it comes to cold weather. Wearing gloves are more spaced out. The buttons are more raised than on the version 1s, more spaced out. So you'll be able to find them in the dark with gloves on. You get your power button, your record button, menu buttons, and your zoom buttons right there. that I love that upgrade on the Rattler version 2s. But that is the walk around. That's what it looks like, y'all.
Hans, I don't know if you mentioned it. If you showed them the USB charging port, they're not charging, sorry, power port.
Yeah, right.
And you might have, I just didn't mention that it, you know, it does take USB external power. And actually I said not charging. Actually, I think it will charge. I said that. Yeah. I was thinking back to the V1, but it does charge that way. But again, you do get a cradle charger, so you can charge your batteries that way.
I did not mention it. So, but there it is. I'm showing the USB-C port right there. It's got a little light letting you know that it's charging for all you fans of all things charging, that you can see it and see it when it's done, red and green and all that kind of stuff. So yes, that is the walk around. It looks very similar, but it's very different. Very different.
Yeah, it is. So guys, I know with this review, with the specs took a long time. We're dragging this on. We got a lot to say, so I'm going to kind of speed this up so we can get to it. I want to talk about our likes and our dislikes. I think the dislikes are going to be pretty quick and easy. I have one dislike. I think this should be fixed with the firmware update. This annoys me just a little bit. So if you're this right here, this button, I'm trying to get it where you can see it on the camera right there. This is your record button. Okay. If you press it one time, it takes a picture. You long press it and it starts your video recording. You long press it and it stops your video recording. Right here is your power button. Okay. So what I've done a couple times out, you know, videoing hogs and coyotes and stuff is I'm out here, I've got this great video and I'm done. And I go, okay, great. And I reach up here in the dark, and this is my fault. Okay. Nobody but mine, but I press this button, which is the power button. And I do a long press because I'm trying to shut the video recording off. Well, when I do, it starts the sequence of shutting down the scope. And so what it does is it goes like 5, 4, 3. I don't know. I think it starts at 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, here's the problem. In a lot of optics, when you press that and it starts the sequence, 3, 2, 1, if you let off at any time, then the scope does not shut off because you haven't held it long enough. And it's a safety feature from keeping you from accidentally turning your scope off. If you long press this power button, it's shutting off. Period. You cannot stop it. If you can stop it, I haven't figured out how, because when it starts going off, I'm like, no. And here's the problem. If you're recording a video and you shut the scope off accidentally, you're going to lose that video because it was never stopped. So it's going to be corrupted. It's going to be gone. So it's a little bit of an annoyance to me that once I long press that, it shuts off. Again, with that countdown timer, most optics are going to give you the option of like, oops, I don't want to do that, let off, and it just goes right back to where you are. I don't like that fact that, you know, once that sequence starts, it keeps going. Minor detail, and I'm the fumble finger who's pressing the wrong button. I want to be clear here. That's my fault, but I think I'm not going to be the only guy who does that. I think that's something that could be, you know, fixed down the road, but Hans, do you have anything else, you know, that you're not, you know, dislike? I've got some positives here.
It's funny. Oh yeah, we got our positives that we need to talk about. And in that the positives list, Jason, I think one of the big things is the ID ranges. So we need to make sure to talk about that as well as the increased ID ranges. But so it's kind of funny is because you're negative. When you say you're negative, I'm like, oh, that's not that big a deal. And I tell you my negative, you're like, oh, you know, it's not that big of a deal. So it's kind of funny how these negatives work out. So what I would say is my negative about the scope isn't anything external. It's when you look through the screen, especially when you go to the menu, there are a couple things in there. And this didn't just start with the V2s. It was also in the version 1s, and I think a lot of the AGM products. There's some things in the menu that might be a little bit confusing. So when you get at the Rattler V2, first thing you want to do is go to the menu and look at what the menu icons mean. There's a couple things in there that are worded a little weird or might be a little strange. So one of them is hot tracking. And it gives you the option to turn it on or off. And people are like, what is hot tracking? Jason, I wish I could really explain it, but it throws up a lot of dots on the screen where some of the hot spots are. But I tell everybody to turn it off.
Super annoying.
It's annoying.
It does. Yeah, there's like these little green X's or crosses where there's hot thing. I don't know. It
doesn't do, but people see it and they're like, oh yeah, hot tracking. Well, that's what I want. But
you want it off.
So I can't even explain exactly what that means, or other than it's just annoying. The other thing is like when you want to turn the Wi-Fi on, it says network for Wi-Fi in the menu, and then it says close or hotspot. So instead of saying, Wi-Fi on or off, it says network, close, and hotspot. So that can be kind of confusing. Read the menu, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all, actually.
Here's what I'm going to give AGM the credit for, is that their manual is one of the simplest to read manuals out there. And you're right. There's some things in that menus that I'm like, okay, we got it. We can do better than this, AGM. But if you take the manual and they have them in order, each of those icons, and you can read about what it is. I mean, that's you're gonna get it cleared up. And I always tell guys, if you don't know what it is, don't mess with it. If you're still confused, just leave it alone, leave it off. Don't worry about it, or leave it as it came. But I do agree. I mean, I think we think each other's are minor. But I'm going to tell you some things that I like. I'm going to tell you one thing's cool. It's got a standby mode, so you can turn off the display screen if you want to do that, if you're walking around and you don't want to turn your scope completely off. But the boot up time is actually pretty quick on this. It's quicker than some of the other optics, so I like that. But it's cool to have a standby. I'm going to tell you something that I think is the coolest thing. And this is so minor, but it is so nice. All right, guys, I want to see if you can see this. Right there. Can you see that? You can barely see it. Little red LED that's on the power button. That's cool. You know what that's for? That's for morons so that they don't press that when they're trying to stop the video recording. No, but you can barely see it. Okay, and listen. The first coyote hunter that calls me and tells me that he missed a coyote because of that red LED, I'm going to hang up on him, because it is the tiniest little, but it is nice, because really and truly, if you're out there in the dark and you want to look down like, oh, I need to turn this thing off or whatever, you just know exactly which button. It's lit up. You can see if it's on. You can see if it's off. It's really... it's a cool feature. So, I mean, it's so small, but it's well thought out. I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you're kind of making fun of yourself of your, your positive, it basically overrides your negative.
It does. Yeah. I'm the moron that can't see the little red LED and I'm pressing the wrong, whatever.
So the likes, are you done with yours? I'll get it. I mean,
I have another one, but if you don't mention it, you're a fool. So I'm going to listen to you and see. You got to mention it. You got to mention it.
Because now, if I don't, now that everybody's going to think or actually everybody will have evidence that I'm a fool and not just think I'm an idiot. So I would say, man, the button layout, awesome. It does have improved picture image on it. It went from a 17 micron to a 12 micron. Quickly, what that means, the lower the micron number, supposedly the better the picture image, but not always. But in this case it is. So lower micron has got a lower NETD sensitivity rating, so more sensitive sensor. Man, that's tough. That's going to perform better in higher humidity or situations where there's a lot of moisture in the air. It's going to be able to cut through that a lot better. I would say the fact that the magnifications increasing were a huge improvement now, y'all. Before with the TS25 as a 1.5 power, very limited on who that was actually right for. I think a lot of people were buying that optic not because it was the right magnification, but because it was the right price for them. I think now people will be able to get into an optic that has the correct base magnification and still get a good price. So now the V2, the 25 is a 2.2 power, which is great typically for the people that are, on average taking shots at 150 yards and in on average. And now you got the 35 model that has a 3 power, which is ideal for all you coyote and predator hunters or anybody out there that's taking an average shot of 150 yards and over, I would say. Yeah. So now you can get that small form factor with the right specs, I would say, with the magnification to do all that predator environment hunting. And you did not have that before. So the ID ranges, you want to talk about that real quick? I mean, so we talked about what we experienced. I think we were pretty close to the same, but on average, conservatively, say about a 300 yard ID range, which is an increase, I think, from the previous V1
I think that's
model.
conservative.
Yeah. I was looking at, and I'm showing some video, and I got some hogs in there, and I got some coyotes, but clearly looking at coyotes at 100 or 250 yards, and could tell. And I have what I was testing when I was videoing the coyotes running in. I was testing the 25, so that was a 2.2 base magnification, not the 35, not the more magnified one. So 250 yards, I was IDing coyotes pretty easily. So I know I missed what you're going to say, so go ahead and do it. I mean,
you just missed it, man. Gosh, no, I think we've already hounded on it. The ID range was one of those, but this battery life, I don't know if you may not have had me there. I might have been cut off, but now I'm talking. I'll show it. So this battery compartment here, and you can see this little red thing right there. It just pops this battery out. It's spring loaded. This battery really does not weigh much, and just sliding this thing in, it pops in. You can see that little red thing. Again, that's holding it in there, and it pops out when you do that. Press it back in. One thing I will say you need to do, and this is a feature, not a bug, is when you press this thing closed, don't just press it and you think, oh yeah, it's good. It's not. That's going to come open. It's got a ring here, an O-ring, basically keeping it waterproof. So you just need to keep this and just press in, and you can just kind of hear it lock in and twist that, and then it's on there tight. Battery. I can't say enough about how happy I am to have an optic that you're talking about getting 9 hours of runtime on, and 2 batteries with it. Guys, this is legit. That's a big
How did I miss that? Because that was the biggest negative from the V1s. It was the fact that it ran on CR123 batteries.
For us, not for everybody, but for us,
for everybody.
And I think for cold weather guys.
Yeah. Now, and the fact that our biggest negative about it was basically taken care of in the V2, and I completely whiffed it and missed the ball. But the battery pack is the best, I would say the best improvement. The fact that it's rechargeable batteries. This is an ideal optic for those of you, and we've done shows about this, but using optics in a dual purpose kind of application where you're scanning with it and putting it on the rifle and hunting with it. The fact now that it has rechargeable battery packs makes that so much better. I mean, it really makes the people that want to use this in a dual capacity a lot more efficient, a lot better, a lot cheaper in the long run without having to have batteries, or convenient because you're not having to run an external battery source with a cable. So the fact that they added this with rechargeable batteries, and I mean, they kept the prices relatively the same. $20.95 and $24.95.
Yeah, they did. Exactly. Yeah, because they dropped those V1s down. You're exactly right.
So, and you're getting picture upgrades and batteries. It's fantastic.
So here's my overall thoughts. Overall thoughts are great little scope, small, compact. As Hans said, if you wanted to hold this in your hand, you can. Comes with this $200 American Defense quick detach, return to zero mount. This optic, this mount, I should say, as you can see, I'm trying to hold it back here. This is a cantilevered mount. So what they've done here, if you're on an AR or anything with a collapsible stock, doesn't matter. Slide this thing forward, get it where you want, and you're good to go. I think what this mount does is it gives the opportunity for a guy who's putting it on an AR, but he happens to have a bolt gun or maybe a chassis gun or something that he wants to put it on. You have the opportunity to try to do that. And here's what I'm making this point here. I would not buy this scope if all I had was, or my main rifle I was going to put on was a bolt gun. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't make it work. But what I'm going to take is, guys ask this all the time. Will this work on a bolt gun? And I go, maybe. I don't know. I don't know your bolt gun. I don't know how long your stock is. I don't know how big a guy you are. I don't know where you're comfortable at. I don't know where your rail stops. There's so many factors, and without physically putting it on there, I don't think you're going to know. I think if you're going to mainly hunt with a bolt gun, or that's going to be a requirement, I think you absolutely need to go with the adder. That's what that 30 millimeter tube scope is designed for. You're giving up nothing. Because you're getting the same image quality and all those features there. So that's what I would go to for a bolt gun. If you've got an AR and you want to try it on your bolt gun, sure, why not? You got a mount and it might just work. Maybe not, but you can try it. I think with these prices, with the higher magnifications, with the 5-year warranty, the removable rechargeable battery, the button layout, the improved image quality, I think it is a win. I think it's a very good optic. I think that, and Hans touched on this, I'm going to let him kind of circle in here and put a bow on this and see if he's got something different to say. He did mention, you know, if you're going to be shooting mostly under 150 yards, that the 25 should do you fine. I agree with that. I would actually say that while it is capable of shooting 200, to be honest, it's probably capable of shooting 300 in a bind if you needed it. The ID range is there. You're obviously going to have to use your digital zoom. You're going to lose image quality doing that. But I think that the 25 is going to be for the guy that's in tighter situations. You've got the wider field of view. If you're hog hunting and you're spotting and stalking, if you're in there and you're doing a lot of shooting that's in that, let's just say 20 to 60 yard range, you know, I for sure think that's where that 2 power, that 25 millimeter is going to do you better. So I think if most of your shots are under 75 to 100 and some of them even getting in pretty close, I would definitely go to the 25. I think if you're shooting predators, coyotes, even hogs, but you're doing a whole lot of shooting, it's 75, 100 plus. Once you get into that 75, 100 plus, you're going to be happy to have the 3 power. You might not like it if you're in the brush or you're in that, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 yard range. It's going to be a little narrow on your field of view. So when it comes down to who's it good for, I used to, in the old days, Hans and I would have said the 25 is good for hog hunters and the 35 is good for coyote hunters. But what we found over time as the market changes and people's, you know, the way we use things and the magnifications, we've seen this crossover. And there's just, as more and more people have got into this, and there's guys that are in states like Pennsylvania or some of these other northern states that are hunting small fields and they're hunting coyotes, but they're like, I can't see but 100 yards max. So they're going to go to the 25 because they're going to be shooting close and they want that wide field of view. So you can't lump everybody into just hog or coyote hunter, but I would kind of do it based on your magnifications. And I know I just threw out a whole bunch of numbers and a whole bunch of stuff, and you're like, I have no idea. This guy's confused me. That's when I would say, call us. Give us a call because we can walk you through everything about this scope, the AGM varmints. They've got laser rangefinders, the adders that are in the 30 millimeter tube. We can lay all these things out and help you figure out exactly which one of these is right for you. What you do not want to do is make assumptions. And here's the thing. This is what kills me is you go, okay, I heard everything they said. I think that I need the 35. That's the one that I need. But all it takes is a phone call. You could call us and you can tell us one tidbit of info and I go, wait a minute. Have you thought about this? Wait, oh, you're going to do this. And then I go, you might think about the 25 and here's why or whatever. And there's so many times that a guy goes, oh my gosh, I'm glad I called you. You know, I'd have made a bad choice and I'd have kind of been stuck. I would have figured this out for a long time. So I definitely think that, you know, make that phone call. And the worst thing's going to happen is we're going to say, man, you picked the perfect optic. That's exactly right. Let's help you get that thing ordered and get you over to the ladies and we'll get that thing shipped out. But that's the worst that happens is it takes 5 minutes for us to go, perfect. Nope, that works for your application. You just need to get that opinion. In my opinion, you need to get that opinion from somebody who's used them and who knows and can, you know, hear a little more about your situation.
That was an excellent transition into, or from who is it good for into our pre-close, Jason. Man, so good job.
Awesome.
You've done really well. So if, like Jason said, if you're looking, if you need answers, if you have questions, if you want to buy, if you want to know what these look like versus the V1s, if you want to know what it looks like compared to the adders, any other AGM product or really any other thermal on the market, you can give us a call. Outdoor Legacy. It's 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacygear.com. Y'all, if you are watching this for the first time, this is episode 301. Yes, we've been doing this for over 5 years in a row, every week, every Thursday, without missing an episode. We're continuing on, and trucking on until episode 400. So if you want to see past
what happens
episodes,
at 400, we quit. I'm just
I
figuring
don't
out.
know. Well, we're just hoping to make it there at this
I
point. It's a
hear you.
week-to-week basis.
It's a
So if you want to see past episodes, thelatenightvision.show.com, all of our past episodes. Of course, you can find us on YouTube. Give us a subscribe over there. If you're listening on to the audio-only versions, we're on all of them, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, we're on it. But if you would, whatever your platform you're on, just give us a thumbs up, a gold star, whatever there is there that gives us a little positive recognition. We would love it. And if you want to find Outdoor Legacy on the socials, you can do it on Facebook, on Instagram, a lot of the forums, a lot of the hunting pages on Facebook, Outdoor Legacy. You can find me on YouTube and on Instagram and on Facebook at Hans ETX, HANSETX. And we'd love to connect to you on all the socials as well, Jason.
Absolutely. Sounds great, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Listen, we got a pile of reviews coming. I mean, if you don't like reviews, you're not going to like this channel for a while. But if you love reviews, this is the place to be. We've got a bunch of them. We're also going to be reviewing the Rattler V2 640s. We're also going to be reviewing the AGM Clarion. This is going to be their unit that has 2 different lenses for optical zoom in it. These babies are already, we've had them since before SHOT Show, waiting on some mounts for these things. But we're going to be reviewing those soon. We have, we got so much more. So anyway, stay tuned to the Late Night Vision Show. And one thing, guys, if there's some optic out there, whatever it is, whether it's the Clarion, they're going to be for sale here in a few weeks. If it's, the 640 Rattler V2s or something else, and you say, well, I'm waiting for them to review. Don't wait for us to review it. If you're interested in buying it now, call us, 877-350-1818. We've already got the optics. We can already give you our one-on-one review over the phone, and there's no need in you having to wait and wonder if we're going to do it next week or in 6 weeks or in 3 months or whatever. Call us. We've, like I said, we've already got the optics. We've already put our time behind them in the field. It's just a matter of time and weeks of getting them out there. So next week, episode 302, good Lord willing, we will be here again. Between now and then, guys, y'all stay safe. Hope to see you then.